And we are back from the weekend.
Yes, sir. What's up?
What's up? And what a weekend it was. A lot of things going on, so many different sports. This is the time of year, anyways, and where that type of thing happens. College, pro, basketball, football, everything. Now, this week, college basketball starting off. But this week that just passed, so much started off even after we had gotten off on Thursday. Thursday night football started up the NFL season or the NFL week, the newest week in the NFL, and the Steelers took on the Titans. And Will Levis couldn't do what he did the previous season. Still looked like a promising quarterback to me, but they still lose to the Steelers. But so much more happening this past weekend.
Yeah, I tried watching that game. I couldn't. And thinking back, I don't even remember what I ended up watching. Probably was a basketball game, but I don't recall. I couldn't keep my attention on that football game for some reason.
It was
Uh,
boring.
and
Pretty much
I
what
guess
it
that's
is.
the reason.
Unbelievable. A
um,
boring NFL football game. Come on now. That's just not synonymous. It doesn't seem right, but that's what it was. It was pretty doggone boring. I don't know. Do you think we're at a point now, anyways? I think even not just now, but even years ago, where even though this is a football crazed country, baseball, the pastime, I think football is the new pastime. They just hadn't done it officially. Is there too much football before we would worry about just Sunday and then playoff time? We'll deal with Saturday and Sunday, but then we look forward to Monday night football and then look forward to the next games or next week of football the following Sunday. Now you have Thursday football, and then you have, well, later on in the season, you'll have your Saturday football, then your Sunday
right.
football. It's all over the place. And then there's college football all over the place this time of
Mhm.
year with the MAC on Tuesdays.
Well, I was thinking too because I remember growing up, ESPN used to have NBA doubleheaders on Sunday night. But that's not going to happen because there's Sunday night football now.
Yep.
I mean, they still play the games, but they're not on network TV.
And they'll just have to
Um,
wait for the NFL to go officially before they can start really putting their foot forward and being
but
the team, being
but
the
they used
elite.
to be good matchups. I remember like the 76ers playing either Milwaukee or Boston, or the Lakers playing the Supersonics or Portland. Teams that were perennially in the playoffs,
Yeah.
and those games mattered back then, and those were good games to watch on a Sunday night. Most of the games would be over by 6:30.
Yep.
Growing up back then, but as you mentioned, times have changed. Is there too much football? I believe so, but it's more due to the fact that a lot of the games that are on Monday and Thursday night aren't worth watching. Like you mentioned, the Thursday night game between the Titans and Steelers was boring.
Yeah.
If they could look into a crystal ball and come up with the best matchups that week each week, then if the Dolphins were playing the Chiefs on Thursday night, I would have watched that game. But it depends on the matchups.
Yeah, that's true, man. I don't know. The Steelers just haven't really taken their step forward this year. Even though they're winning now, they're not a bad team. I think they're a middle of the pack team. Baltimore is still the best team in the AFC North right now. Well, you know what? Are we really saying that because Cincinnati started to pull it out? But as it stands right now, record wise and what's been done throughout the season so far, it looks like the momentum is on Baltimore's side as Cincinnati's gaining momentum. But aside from that, just get down to some of this NFL football that happened just yesterday. CJ Stroud, it has to start with him and it has to end with him. This is the guy before the season started. I was saying how he would be yet the next Ohio State flop of a quarterback. I look at his so-called Wonderlic slash score, and I'm like, he probably can't read a defense. This guy's done everything out there, and he should get Rookie of the Year. He may even get some consideration for Player of the Year. Right now, 14 touchdowns, only one pick at this point, 8 starts total, 4-4 record with a brand new coach.
Yeah. So his game yesterday, he may never ever have another game like that. That's a high bar he just set yesterday. 470 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and the game-winning touchdown with 6 seconds left on the clock. When they got the ball with, I think it was 46 or 47 seconds left, and no timeouts.
No timeouts.
Man, that was crazy. I'm glad I tuned in. I saw what he had at the half. I was watching other games. I said, you know what, this is a close game. Let me see what C.J. Stroud does under pressure. And man, it wasn't just the fact that he led them down the field and threw the touchdown pass. The passes he was throwing,
Times,
exactly. I mean, he was holding the safety, then changing his eyesight,
bro.
throwing it, dropping it in the bucket right by the sideline. Oh my gosh. How anybody could watch that tape and not be impressed is beyond me. You would just be a hater, be a dumb mf'er
Yeah,
if you were not impressed.
you don't want me as your scout, put it that way, because I would have taken him and I'd have been wrong for it. I mean, I've been right in other times, but this time you talk about being way off, but gladly being way off, because if you're going to say a quarterback isn't going to be that good, or a player for that matter, and then he does this, and you look at the trajectory or possibilities for his future moving forward, man, this guy's going to be so damn fun to watch, whether you're playing against him or playing with him. You're going to probably have some fun watching him if he keeps this going, if there isn't any disruption like his offensive line getting him murdered. But then I thought about what he's doing as well. And I go back to that 1983 class everyone talked about, John Elway, Ken O'Brien. Why even put Ken O'Brien in front of Dan Marino? Because he's a Jet. But, you had Dan Marino. And I looked at the numbers that these guys have. Dan Marino that season played in 11 games, but started 9 games, went 7-2 that season. 2,200 is what? 2,200, I think, 20 yards he had for that season for that 7 times, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Right now, with 8 games, CJ Stroud is over him with 2,270 yards and 14 touchdowns and 1 pick. Bro, if you're talking about a real comparison that can be made against a past great, this is it. For all it might not mean nothing after all, but if you want to just see something and make the comparison and the slight contrast, you have something to look at here, and it looks realistic. And after what he had done yesterday with his presence and knowing the game this early, there may be something to it rather than just a one-off.
Yeah, I heard someone say this morning on one of the morning shows. A lot of times, rookies they'll show great arm talent, or they'll show they can get rid of the ball, or they show a little bit if they can read defenses, but almost never can do they have all of the ingredients
Yeah.
working as a rookie, and that's a really good observation and an accurate statement because he looks like a 5-6 year veteran. You can't if you put that tape on next to Joe Burrow last night, you can't tell me he's not in the same class as Joe Burrow.
He is. There's no way
But
around it. If
but
you're looking at
is
that
he
one game,
really? Is he really? We don't know yet, right?
but you know what? If you took it
But
by
he's playing like it.
exactly, because if you took it on a game-by-game basis, if you looked at this game and said what he had done as a rookie, even though it was Atlanta, and then you look at what Joe Burrow has done, even at his best, but yesterday in particular, the numbers don't lie, but, different teams and all that. But he absolutely dominated the competition. No one else had 5 touchdowns yesterday. I don't know if anyone even had 4 touchdowns. Dak had 3 touchdowns in a losing effort. So we're talking about a rookie, second pick overall, playing for a team that was completely out. The Houston Texans were out. This is not even a team that was expected to do anything at all this year. He was going to be given a mulligan if he just fucking fell in his face.
But you mentioned Dak, so let's say the Texans got down there and didn't score the touchdown, people would still be singing his praises.
Yeah.
But he delivered. He got the touchdown. Dak was down there, didn't get the touchdown. He played a hell of a game until it mattered.
Wow. The time. That's it. He looked at the clock, realized the game was on the line, and said, "Oh God, this is when I step out. Exit stage left." And this is Dak. And this is what happens. We're not making it up. They lost the game. Well, they had
he had help. The false start, delay game, drop back. Looked like the Bears' offensive line last year. He drops back and oh crap, here comes Hassan Riddick. He just didn't get any time, but still they got it down there. They had the pass interference, the personal foul. So you can say, well, Dak didn't drive them down there. They got a lot of help. Regardless, they were down there. He had an opportunity and couldn't cash in.
And it's up to him to close the show. He's the quarterback that doesn't want the scrutiny, at least not negative scrutiny. And he gets it more because he's playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And I think most teams that play for these big market teams or the bigger market teams, and then the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to get that scrutiny. They call themselves America's team. So when you're in front of America, you have to show up as the quarterback. And he hasn't done a lot of that in recent memory. And yesterday, he had a chance to do that against a division foe who's leading the division, who's probably likely the best team in the NFL right now. And the way things are going, probably going to the AFC Championship game. You could put a stamp on this in Philadelphia, and you didn't do it.
Right.
So
I don't really want to bash him. As I said, he had a big game.
Excellent game, but you got to close the show at this point in your career. You can't just be happy just to get there.
You're right. And we talk about Eagles defense being tough. They didn't look all that tough. Was that Dak and his receivers, or was that just the Eagles having an off night? I don't know. But
I don't know.
You got to cash it in at the end. When they give you that much help, the PI, the personal foul, they give you 60 yards or whatever, get you down in the red zone, you have to cash it in.
Yeah, and he didn't once again. He's worried so much about I'm not going to get 10 interceptions this year. But, man, you got to get some wins. You're not doing interceptions, but you're not getting wins either. At least wins that matter. And you're behind the 8 ball as the quarterback, and the pressure continues to accumulate on him because he has not delivered for the Dallas Cowboys. He's had opportunities. It's not like they haven't been there. They've been there, and he just, once again, no show when it matters most. Another team, no show when it matters most, especially if you're 500 or better, the Dolphins. The Dolphins, we thought they were an elite team, and then, of course, they show they aren't. 21-14, the Dolphins lose again.
0-3 against teams with winning records.
Yeah.
At least they showed some fight in the second half. They were down 21-zip at the half, and they lost 21-14. They were within striking distance, but then the wheels fell off.
Well, what helped the wheels fall off?
Huh?
I'm asking what helped the wheels fall off. There was a lot of talking before this game. There was a lot of talking last week, led by Tyreek Hill. Of course, he has 1,000 yards receiving so far this year, and he talked about they're going to get this work. That's exactly what he said. I'm going to take this out there. I'm in Germany. They're going to get this work. Well, someone was unemployed yesterday because the Kansas City Chiefs took his job. 7.8 yards per reception for the cheetah. He's supposed to just blow past you, if nothing else, get a 50-yard pass, just a completion going and do the fly.
Give credit to the Chiefs defense. They didn't just let him get off the line clean. Nope. They didn't let him just run downfield untouched, without attention. 2 guys watching him, one under, one over, whatever. But when I say the wheels fell off, I think the blitz came and he threw that pass when the guy was going long and he thought he was going to either go out. It was like 15 yards short. And then he fumbled the snap. It looked like Jeff Sims from Nebraska.
Over and over.
But I guess, he saw it looked like 7 guys were coming. And he had that oh shit in his mind and took his eye off the ball.
That deer in the headlights look is so familiar. And going into this season, I talked about the AFC East probably being the best division in all of football. We thought Buffalo would lead the pack. We thought the Jets with Aaron Rodgers was going to be there. And we thought the Miami Dolphins had every element to do something there. And we figured that the Patriots would be bringing up the rear. Well, the Jets and the Patriots bring up the rear. But Miami, when they have a formidable team in their face.
The Jets win tonight, they're in first place.
Who?
The Jets.
Oh, we're in the division?
Yeah.
Well, right now, I mean, as far as the Jets as a whole, it doesn't look like they're going to.
I'm just saying, if they win today, they're in first place.
Oh,
and I don't think I considered the Buffalo Bills. I told you about that Madden curse.
Well, the Madden curse. You're looking at it from a superstitious standpoint.
Whatever.
It's working out. It's playing out.
They're 5-4. They look like an average team now.
I just can't put a beat on these guys because I think they at least beat other teams that were good before. It's just that they play teams that just probably aren't as good and they lose. But this is a Cincinnati Bengals team that is good. And it's just a matter of how healthy Joe Burrow was going to be for them to play the way they're capable of playing, which they've been doing lately. Now 4 in a row since he's come, and then the bye week helped him out with the injury. And now it looks like he just locked and loaded and the odds-on favorite to do something in the AFC along with Baltimore, but they'll have to battle it out being in the AFC North.
Right.
because I
It's
don't think
going to be
Pittsburgh's going to do
it's going to
anything.
be interesting. Baltimore's defense is highly ranked this year. It's not just the offense outscoring people. And Lamar Jackson, I'm not even sure he had good numbers yesterday, but they
They
scored
just
a lot
win.
of points.
Yeah.
But Joe Burrow, man, he's gonna be tough to stop. So it behooves the Ravens to get that running game going. So when they face the Bengals, they can keep them off the field.
And by the way, let's not forget and disrespect the Cleveland Browns. I mean, they won 27 nothing. They do have a defense themselves, and they really put it to it. And even though Deshaun Watson didn't have one of those pinball machine games where the numbers look good all across the board, he was still effective, still got his 2 touchdowns, still threw for 217 yards, and they won, and the defense took over. Getting a shot out in the NFL does matter. These grown guys don't want to get shut out, regardless of how bad the team may be, even though Kyler Murray will be coming back, and he will be coming back this upcoming week. It didn't even matter. It was just the Browns are just that good this year. I don't think anyone really expected it. I think offensively we expected something because we thought that the rust would come off of Deshaun Watson, but the defense is leading the way. Chubb went down. We saw that. We knew that was going to be a big part of their offense. That's not even a part of the offense.
Right. And it helps when you're playing a scrub team. We'll see what happens when they play an actual,
Yeah, the
a
defense.
good
Yeah, you know
team.
what? The defense shows up. It's still a pretty damn good defense. It's that
Yeah.
offense. I'm I'm now kind of going backwards with Deshaun Watson, wondering if he has it now. Is it a mental thing for him, or was this his ceiling all along? Now that he's with another team, I don't know. I can't really tell now.
Yeah, he had the one good week and then he was off a couple of weeks. Now he's trying to get back in the swing of things. Who knows? Has he plateaued? Is he on the way down? Only time will tell.
Well, Deshaun Watson, hell, at least he's on the winning team. It just happens to be the quarterback who threw 2 touchdowns. Jerome Ford taking over at the running back spot. I thought he would be a very good running back. He's pretty much he's serviceable as it stands right now. For Nick Chubb, who was just an elite athlete and one of the best backs in all of football for several years now. And I thought Travis Ford, being the former Heisman Trophy candidate for a few weeks when he was at Cincinnati, transferred from Alabama, so you knew he had some talent. He just couldn't crack the lineup for one reason or another. Went to Cincinnati, showed that he was capable. I thought he'd have that talent to go to the NFL, and he showed it early. It just hasn't been consistent, but a win nonetheless against a bad team. So now the Browns move on and get a win there, but they have their own work cut out for them. Looks like the AFC North may be the best division in all of football, definitely the most competitive.
Could be. But since you mentioned Bama, what's up with Saban telling that player he would play more with him than he is with LSU?
You know what?
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that. And I
Oh, it
watched
was
it all
after
this
the game. It
weekend.
was one of the players. I forget. I forget the player's name, but he transferred from Bama to LSU, obviously,
Yeah.
and they greeted each other. And as they were kind of walking away, he's like, "You play more here than you are there."
Tampering. Man,
Is that a hint? Transfer back? I don't know.
I don't know, man. I tell you what, we'll end up getting to that college football because there was a lot of college football talked about this past weekend and played for that matter. But right now in the NFL, especially, we look back on the Giants and Daniel Jones is out. Um, I'm not going to act like it's a good thing. It's not a good thing in terms of his health. But what kind of thing is it in terms of the Giants even having a chance to win? They're getting the same result with him as they're getting without him, with
Yeah,
Tommy DeVito.
maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Now they have to identify a quarterback in the draft.
Well, this day and age, how about a quarterback identifying as a quarterback and playing like one? Come on. I can't believe how bad some of the quarterback play here in the NFL is so far. It hasn't been that great. And how about your boy yesterday? I was looking at it from afar, Bajan looking good for a little while until he started throwing picks. But I know the Chicago Bears probably not something you want to talk about right now. But how did he look? Because I didn't watch the game. I was just looking at the numbers. I was like, wait a minute, he looking all right. And the next thing you know, pick.
Yeah, he looked all right early. I don't know if it's just the arm strength isn't there. But I think his last interception, his accuracy was way off. It was like 3 yards behind the receiver,
Mm.
almost right to the trailing cornerback. Um, because one of the interceptions, like it was a crossing pattern, and the cornerback just undercut it and intercepted it. So that leads me to believe arm strength. The ball didn't get there on time. The cornerback had time to undercut. Um, it's too bad he doesn't have arm talent because he he does read defenses. He does get rid of the ball quick. He just doesn't have the physical abilities to be a top quarterback. And I think that's where he gets in trouble. They ask him to make certain throws, and he just can't make those throws.
Do you get a offensive coordinator to work with what he does have? Because I remember we had that quarterback, with the Jets, we had Chad Pennington who had one of those wiffle ball arms. I know they talked about how strong it was when he was at Marshall, but when you were in the Meadowlands and that wind is swirling around in the wintertime, it was a different story. And the Jets made a game plan around him to where it wasn't going deep and hanging up in the sky too long. He would throw pretty much West Coast offense, keep it short, pretty much intermediate when you can, and put your best into it on the intermediate, go down the field intermittently, and you'll have success. And he had success because of it. I think this may be the case of the same thing. Ironically, from Shepherd University, West Virginia, Marshall University, West Virginia, you might have a correlation there.
It could be. So last week, 2 weeks ago, there was a Hail Mary situation. They took out Bajent and put in Peterman. So then people are thinking, okay, the book's out on him. He doesn't have a strong arm. He can't get it down the field.
Mm-hmm.
So first play of the game, he throws a bomb to Mooney for like a 45-yard gain. So there goes that. He's got an arm to throw deep. So I don't know. I think, but throwing distance is not the same as throwing across the field
Yeah.
on time. With some zip.
And
So I don't know. I don't know. I have no faith in the Bears offensive coordinator. You got Justin Fields, and they're trying to make him a straight drop back passer. So
wow.
why would he cater his offense to Bajent now? He didn't do it for Fields.
Well, because that's probably what he wants more of, a guy who can drop back and throw the ball. Beijing, I think, showed that he can run a little bit too, from what I saw in the numbers wise. He can run a little bit, can he?
He did. They were playing man early,
And he stole
but
that
then
back and he ran.
he was beating them with his legs. So they said, okay, let's go zone. And that's when the issue started.
And zone should be a little easier because your receivers can find the soft spots. And
You would think.
Yeah, and to keep the ball in front of you, though, in front of the defender, but finding the soft spots and being able with that quick release or that quick decision-making ability, get the ball there, throwing it hard as you can for at least 10 yards, 15 yards. A lot easier said than done, especially with these guys in the NFL. A lot smaller windows than they had back at Shepherd University. So I'm sure things are a little faster there. So, hey, with the NFL, I know we'll get a chance. We have all week to talk about more of the NFL and things that are happening, even tonight's game as the Jets play. But anyway.
Don't press the button. Don't press the button.
Oh, no, I'm not going to press the button on him yet. We have to wait for him to play to do that. We can't throw
a chance for first place tonight, man. Show some faith.
Some faith, yeah, and the team and the defense that got him there, and the defense that needs rest and doesn't get it because of him.
But like I said, he's not giving the games away either. He could throw 5 interceptions like
Bajent. He's not allowed to do it. You can't give the game
throw 5 interceptions like Bajent, and there's your L.
Well, you know what? Bajent's a young cat that just came in this year. This guy's a veteran. He's in his third season, not showing anything. And, well, we can move on from there because we will talk a little bit more about NFL this week. But the NBA, obviously in full swing, a lot of sweet things going on in the NBA. You normally don't want to talk about it so early because, well, nothing's going on. A lot's going on right now. I'm not even talking about the playing games, this in-season tournament, just the games themselves. Looking at Wemby last Thursday night, 38 points. This guy's a star, or is this just a one-off, or, man, this is just a precursor to the things to come?
Well, the thing is, you got to think him being a rookie, I'm sure he's confident, but is he fully confident? He doesn't really know what he's capable of. But dropping 38, now he's confident.
Yes.
Now you got to watch out. Now you really got to watch out. I mean, he was taking his shots. He was shooting his threes, making his moves to the basket. but dropping 38, watch out
Yeah,
because I don't see how his confidence can't be any higher right now.
yeah, you can't fake confidence. You can't fake 38 points in the NBA as a rookie. You just can't. How many rookies are going ahead
Yeah,
and
it
doing
was
that?
he had 38, 10, and 5 or something. It
He was all
wasn't
over the place. Got
yeah, it
blocked
wasn't just 38 points. He's a
and
factor
everything
on
else.
both ends.
And the way he blocks shots, he's playing volleyball with people out there. He just put his hands up. You wish
Guys think
Porzingis
they're
did.
open for threes. Next thing you know, they're looking at the ball going behind them.
Unbelievable the way he does it, and that athleticism he has, man. His 3-inch vertical to get to get the rim because he doesn't have to jump too high, but he gets that ball, he dunks it in, does the alley oop, soaring through the sky about 3 feet, 3 inches high, getting it done. But hey,
But
man,
I'm sure
impressive.
Suns fans, when they looked at the record after, they're like, "Oh, we got two with the Spurs. Those should be W's." No, they're both L's.
What about the Spurs? I know they got the injuries. I know players aren't playing. I know
Spurs or
KD's not
Suns?
carrying the team. He's
You mean
showing that he
Suns?
can't carry a team now.
You mean Suns?
The Suns. I mean, that's what I
Yeah,
meant the
you
Suns.
said Spurs.
Bad.
But yeah, unfortunately, KD doesn't have enough help. Um, what happens when they play a top team?
Yeah.
Woodshed.
Yep, that seems like that's what's going to happen, man. But I thought, KD's a guaranteed bucket. And you talk about some players who can lead their team, and there have been players in the past who could lead their team, and you can see it. We already know what KD can do. So I don't think this is the case of saying he can't play or he's not great because he's still great even in his old age. But he's not carrying a team the way he needs to carry it, even in this early going. He's just not doing it. And you're playing lesser teams, so you should have more of an opportunity to carry the team as the superstar he is. And you lose it to another burgeoning superstar in Wemby, who
And
is carrying his team.
Suns have to be careful, man. If Beal and Booker don't come back, I think Booker's back though. But if they're losing, KD might ask for a trade. He's like, "This ain't what I
There we
expected."
go with that. That's the way it is these days,
If
though.
Harden can do it, KD can do it.
Yeah, and that's I wouldn't be surprised. That's the way it
I
seems
don't
these
know.
days. Players get upset, they don't
Sorry,
win.
coach. It's not working out. You're trading.
Yeah, 5 games, man. Forget it. That's too much. We gotta go. And and on top of that, how about the Celtics? Still undefeated, the only undefeated team in the NBA right now. And they look like geniuses, as you said, mad scientists for making the moves that they made. And they're just
Yeah.
dominated.
When they traded Robert Williams, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I would have done that." But he's out for the
Out for
season
the
now,
season now.
so
God.
uh, good luck to him. Best wishes. Hopefully, he's able to rehab and come back. But they're rolling. Drew Holiday
Whew,
is doing what he does. They got Porzingis. All their moves have been working out, and
man.
I don't know if they got together in the summertime, but it doesn't
Man,
even look like they needed time to mesh. They're just rolling, man. But
man.
I think that speaks to the professionalism of Drew Holiday. You can put him on
Mhm.
any team, and he's gonna fit in. He's gonna find his way because he doesn't need the ball to be
To be
happy.
effective,
You know,
yeah.
he doesn't have to score 25 points to be happy. He's not going to be a malcontent. He's going to do what he does. He's going to find his spots. He's going to let the game come to him. And Porzingis, he just he's just in the right spot. He doesn't have to be the man. They got Tatum and Brown, and hey, open shot, yeah, I'll take it. Splash. I mean, and then he's a presence on defense. So Celtics gonna be tough to deal with right
Yeah, they
now.
are, man.
Right now, I put him even over the Nuggets, but it's only a few games in the season.
Yeah, and injuries may happen. That's part of the basketball season, but I guess less injuries this year, fewer injuries because of the time management that's going to eventually happen a little bit more. Some players may negate their time management, but it looks like the way the Celtics are going, I'm obviously a Celtic hater or anything New England hater, but man, something in me just wants to watch them play, man, because of this pool and talent they have playing. Bro, you got to, if you like basketball, love basketball, man, whether it's your team or not, enjoy some talent when it's out on that basketball court. And it might be some type of transcendent talent where this team, I don't know about being the Bulls or even the Golden State Warriors with the big win total, but it looks like they could possibly do it if they don't get injured as much as other teams. I think they could pull that off, really threatening some records, just winning because they can be that dominant. I can't wait till
I,
they finally do play Denver.
I think the key is they're not afraid to play defense. They score points, but they will also guard
Mm-hmm.
you. Unlike what it seems Milwaukee's trying to do, just trying to outscore you.
Outscore you. Mm-mm.
Um,
One
and
and done.
and if the other team's hotter than you are, it's going to be rough. And is Dame going to be able to pull out every game when they're down 5 with 2 minutes to go? I'm sure he'll pull out his fair share of them, but it's not going to be every game.
And how much do you trust Chris Middleton for the Bucks? The injury in which he wasn't supposed to start the season anyway, but I guess he wanted to be there for his teammates in the early going. But that's not looking like it's turning out to be the best thing. I mean, this is still really early. And the way I think that first game was such a big teaser to where people expect them to be kind of where Boston is right now, especially when the comparison was made between those two when the moves were made for the players they had gotten.
Yeah, but like I said, that was a 2 possession game, and it took a Herculean effort from Lillard down the stretch.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't impressed. Um, I mean, Dame is Dame. What he did, yeah, it was phenomenal. But as far as them being the team to beat, I did not feel that way after the first game.
We can move over to the West Coast a little bit. And last week, I think it was Saturday, and I think the Orlando Magic played against the Lakers. The Lakers beat them out there in LA. They came back to Orlando to play Orlando. Orlando's a 5.5 point underdog in that game. I thought this was the easiest money you could possibly get. They beat them outright. And Orlando right now, 4-2. Boncaro finally stepping up this season because he started off pretty slow, but now he's stepping up. They're 4-2. I don't expect that to continue, but it still, I think, lends itself to me thinking that they're the second best young team in the NBA behind Oklahoma City. Now we still have Minnesota. You still have let me see, Minnesota, and you did have the Grizzlies, but the way things are going there, they just got their first win the other day against the Trailblazers.
Yeah, Boncaro was giving them work too.
Yeah, that's what he does,
Didn't he
though.
have, didn't he have 30 that game?
I don't remember how much he had, but I just know that Boncaro is that kind of player. Last year, Rookie of the Year, it was supposed to have been a battle with him and Chet Holmgren because, the little story they had coming up. But, man, Chet was injured. He comes in. He was dominant last season. I mean, not good. He was dominant last season. Now he's picking up, he picked up like the third game, fourth game from what he had done last season. And he's damn sure helping that team and all of the parts they do have now.
Yeah, well, they're a team to keep your eye on.
Yes.
4-2, they're off to a good start, so that's good for their confidence. A win over the Lakers, that's good for their confidence.
Yep.
So we'll see. When young players believe in themselves and they got all that energy and that
Yep.
desire, it's hard to beat it out of them, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, people are gonna have to see Orlando.
And they're running up and down the court. You know what I mean? The young players can do that. You have young teams out there that probably aren't as good as Oklahoma City or even Orlando. I think Houston's one of those teams. Detroit has young talent. They can run up and down the court as well, man. But these young guys, these older guys know the geometry of a basketball court so they can beat you with their skill, but also knowing just the X's and O's better. But these young guys can run you into the ground by forcing you to play at a pace you don't want to play at. You're a 15-year vet, man. You don't want to run up and down the court anymore. You don't want to play defense. You just want to hope that they make a mistake and you can just capitalize. But yeah, I just like watching this Orlando team, man. I plan on going to a game next month. I got to still decide on what I'm going to do in terms of going to that game. And then the following day, the Gator Bowl is coming up and deciding if I want to still go to that. But either way, I like the team. And I thought that, Orlando, a nice team to watch. But even with the freaking league pass, I can't watch it here in Jacksonville. Every it's like, what's going on?
Why not?
No, it just says it's outside of the area. It says that I can watch it on a day later or something like that. Really?
Oh, that sucks.
That's what I'm saying. It did that all last year, and I was like, wait a minute, man.
The league pass, you can't get the opposing team's broadcast?
No, not on there.
Dang, that sucks.
Yeah, man. I don't know. And maybe it's something I might need to check out, but either way, I don't mind. But this year here, I certainly want to watch them along with my Knicks. I'm always going to watch the Knicks when the opportunity's there, regardless if they're good or not. And that's been since the 70s. So why not? Have two teams to check out. I have a couple of teams underlined, including the Brooklyn Nets and all that stuff. But anyways, college football was played this week, so we can move on from basketball for right now. College football, Another week, another team, Georgia, the number one, but now number two because of the voting going on tomorrow. They'll probably still be at number two, or they may jump to number one because Ohio State didn't play. But they had their problems against Missouri. But I think the caveat is Missouri was not a bad team. I think people who don't watch college football or don't keep up with it as much as they probably could in order to comment, they're not used to seeing Missouri up there. So when you see Missouri even highly ranked, you're like, they probably don't deserve it. If you watch them play, you would know that they deserved every step of the way. And then after playing Georgia the way they did in Georgia, these guys belong. And they gave Georgia all they could handle. But Georgia, being the defending champs, even without all the talent they've had for all these years, stepped up, won another game. But it makes me think about Ole Miss is coming in next week. And then they got to go to Rocky Top to play Tennessee. And then even Georgia Tech this year, not as easy as usual, but they always have that little rivalry thing going on with Georgia Tech and Georgia. Georgia normally beats them, but you just never know.
Yeah, I was a bit surprised to see the score, um, and that it was tied at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as long as they keep winning, right? That's what matters.
That's what matters. And
Um,
even at
until
the number,
they play a top team, I don't know. I'm not sold on them, but they keep winning, and that's all that matters.
you know what, that Missouri team, to me, based on how they played and how they played other teams, they were a top team. And they took care of them, and they had their struggles last year when they weren't a top team, and Georgia was even better having Stetson Bennett with his experience and still having Brock Bowers and even Lat McConkey with his experience, that defensive line, offensive line. They still struggled 26-22 to beat them last season in Missouri. Missouri comes back in, gives them a little bit of a problem again, but Georgia continues to win. And Carson Beck is showing that he's steady. I guess he's like Trent Dilfer. He doesn't have to be anything special. Just have a defense that plays well and just have your offensive parts make plays when you need to. He's playing better than Trent Dilfer obviously did in the NFL, but he's doing it for Georgia. Over 200 yards passing, over 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and it was sorely needed against a very good Missouri team. I think that surprised a lot of people that Missouri was in it that long, and it will lead some biased people, not you, but biased people, to use that as an excuse to say that Georgia shouldn't be number one anyway. That's why they're number two. Well, no, Georgia's that good, just like
Well, we've
Ohio State is that
basically
good.
been saying that most of the season anyway.
Yeah, I
But
think so. Yeah.
they're gonna have to figure it out on offense because it looks like Bama's figured it out on offense.
Oh, you know what? And that's who we got to talk about next. The way Bama played this past weekend against LSU, I figured this would be the game that Jalen Monroe was going to figure out if he could play or not against the big boys because he's played other teams. But this is what he's done. He's shown, and Nick Saban doing his best coaching job since he's been at Alabama. If you watch the game, and I've spoken to the biggest Bama fan of all time, Brent Beard, who had come on the show weeks ago before the season started or when the season started, and he talked about, I spoke to him yesterday. He said that this is the best coaching job Nick Saban's ever done at Alabama, and it proves it because this is the guy going into the season. These three quarterbacks, you just didn't know who was going to be the guy. Milroe had the opportunity because he was there last year. I thought he wasn't a good quarterback. In the beginning of the season, he wasn't a good quarterback. A few games in, he still wasn't a good quarterback. And then he finally started getting his legs because Nick Saban started putting him in position to optimize what he does best, which is run. But then he took it upon himself to say, I got a God-given gift to run. I'm going to work on my passing. And you can see it. He doesn't need the touchdowns in order to prove that he can get it done. He just has this strange skill set for what Alabama's doing, to where he ran for 4 touchdowns, ran for 150 yards, but then he made the passes he needed to make to move the chains and keep you off balance. And then the way he runs the ball, he's physical like a fullback. People didn't want to touch him. He makes you back up as a defensive player. And all props to Monroe. Now, this guy can get the job done. It's not clear cut anymore about Georgia meeting them in the SEC championship game and just getting a three-peat or getting an opportunity at a three-peat.
Right, and that's what I'm getting at with Bama saying Bama's offense seems to be
That defense sick.
have figured it out now. They look good against LSU. He looked good against LSU. So if his confidence is skyrocketing, now Bama's opponents they're gonna have to watch out because it's more than just a defense now. It looks like they have an offense to
Or
go
they have
with.
an offense that's going to be a pain. Now it's going to come down to his consistency, and it seems like he's been more and more consistent as each game is going by. I think right now he's shown that he's got it for what he needs to do in that offense and for what Nick is asking him to do. He's got it, and Nick is just letting him run with it, literally run with it. But then he can pass and keep you off balance, and he's throwing that 15-yarder, not just chucking it downfield and out athleting the other players. He's throwing that 15-yarder and that 10-yarder, and when your back is turned, when you shouldn't be, he's running and getting huge yards, and that's how you end up with over 150 yards rushing. And for Georgia, that's probably what they don't want to see because they did give up 51 yards rushing to Missouri this past week. That can't be a good thing, knowing that you have a quarterback who can run like that, and then you have your running backs at Alabama. They're known for running like that, and they can. But at the same time, well, Bama did give up 163 yards rushing to Jaden Daniels before concussing him and getting him out of the game.
But speaking of intangibles, well, not that anybody's speaking of, but I am now. If he was going to have a poor game, Saturday would have been it under the lights,
Yep.
night game. But he responded strong. So he didn't fold under the pressure, and now, like I said, his confidence has to be skyrocketing. So it should be downhill from now on.
Yeah, 42-28 is the way they blew them out. I know they're remembering, I think we talked about it last week, how LSU did that last second deal to them last year, upset them in Baton Rouge. They paid them back, obviously. It didn't even have to come down to a last second play. It came down to concussing the quarterback and then letting his own quarterback, Jalen Moreau, run through them like it was wet paper towel on that football field. And Alabama's legit. And I think that the voters are going to see that if they watch the game, because you have these people who are paid to watch the games in order to make their vote. I think they need to move up a little bit more than they've been moving up in past weeks when they either stayed or they just moved up one spot or two at most. The way they played last Saturday, they need to move up more than one spot after what they had done. And Alabama's that defense was already for real. Now that the offense looks like it caught up to it, man, Georgia has some things to think about. And it's going to be a hell of a battle if those two do indeed meet one another in the SEC championship game. And then, take us out of the SEC, go to the Big 12 for the last installment, at least for the foreseeable future, of Bedlam, Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. And of course, Oklahoma, with so much on the line, does what they did when Big Choke Bob was there. They lost. Come on, man. Oklahoma State beats them. And the last installment, Bedlam, and Oklahoma loses 2 in a row. Kansas and now Oklahoma State.
Yeah, they're reeling now. Kansas was a surprise, and now Oklahoma State, that's a shocker.
Yeah, it is.
Two in a row. I mean, it's a rivalry game, but Oklahoma did not lose that and did not expect to be on a 2-game losing streak.
No.
So that's really going to hurt their playoff chances.
Now, I remember years ago, there was times when Bedlam really mattered, and I think Oklahoma State just upset them. I think of years ago, I think it was Rashawn Wood that just made so many. I think he made like 3 touchdowns on them when Oklahoma was like, I don't know how big a favorite they were. He just ate them alive. He just killed them. But it seems like when Oklahoma's trying to either get out of the doldrums if something is going wrong or there's something on the line, we just need this one win to put ourselves in this picture. Oklahoma State comes along and says, "Not so fast, my friend," in T. Boone Pickens Stadium. But anyways, that's
it's just weird how the season has changed. After they beat Texas, like, wow, Oklahoma got it done against the Longhorns. Yeah. But now they lost to Kansas and Oklahoma State. And Texas has another loss as well. It's just a crazy season because some teams that looked really strong early no longer look strong.
Well, Kansas State had Texas struggling like hell last Saturday, as they pulled out the 33-30 victory against Kansas State. But yeah, Texas still in the mix somewhat, but I'm not confident in them if there's an opportunity to go into the playoffs and play the teams that I still believe are the top teams. Even though Georgia may be slipping a little bit, they're still a top team, at least top 2 or 3 team. You still have Ohio State. You still have Michigan. There's still a possibility of Ohio State and Michigan playing one another. And if the game is so close, they'll do like an SEC thing a couple of years ago. They'll just fall 2 spots, still be in the playoff mix because they're still in the
What if
top.
Penn State wins Saturday?
And Penn State, another team. But you know what? Ohio State already had taken them out. And I think that's probably going to leave them just on the outside because, look, we have the Pac-12 where Washington and Oregon are still trying to push the envelope to get into that position as well. And now we can talk about what happened with Washington and USC. And Caleb the Crier, what's going on with that Mr. Heisman House guy?
I don't know, but I've been saying it a lot. Karma is a bitch.
Yes.
When you tell NFL teams, I'm not going to play for you, I will only play for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams, and then you go out and lose 3 times and you're on the sideline crying, I'm sorry. You had it coming.
Yeah.
The Huskies broke your heart, like literally.
And those shows.
And I don't feel bad about it.
Oh, nah. What's there to feel bad about? I mean, look, this USC team has problems defensively. We saw that last year. It continued this year. They played against Colorado and almost lost that game when they were ahead 31-6, I believe at one point. And Colorado kind of fought back and almost beat them. They just had problems defensively. And now, we're getting close to the holiday season, and the Grinch was stolen in terms of losing his job. The defensive coordinator for USC was fired because of what happened against Washington this past weekend. And, well, rightfully so, because this isn't a one-off. This isn't just a knee-jerk reaction from just bad play. They've played poorly defensively all year because it was a continuation from last season when they were playing poorly. So, it's just an absolute mess. And defensively, they have the offense because that offense is one of the best in the country. But if your defense is just giving up as many points as your offense is scoring, it's almost a coin flip chance of games that you're playing in.
Yeah, but it's Washington. We're talking about top 5 team in the nation.
Top 5 team.
And
you know what?
Michael Penix, another Heisman candidate.
Another Heisman candidate, and possibly the leader right now. I think Bo Nix needs to get thrown into that mix. He threw his second interception this past weekend, but he's Oregon. They did beat Oregon. So, that's going to be the head-to-head battle. They'll probably pick Michael Penix over Bo Nix if it ever came down to just those two. But, man, Dylan Johnson ran for over 250 yards on the ground against this USC team. And it's always been one of the people, we can't stop the pass. Well, you can't stop the run either. And now you're out of it. And karma has come back for Caleb Williams. And I'm sure there's some NFL GMs knowing you're not going to be the number 1 pick overall because that may belong to Marvin Harrison Jr.
And how do you think NFL scouts and front offices view him crying on the sideline like that?
You know what? I don't know. Could he be a head case? There's so much that probably goes to.
Oh, no, we got another Ben Simmons.
You know what? Might have. He's a front runner, I guess. I guess they can look at him as the same way. This guy might be a front runner.
I mean, I guess you can say, well, he really cares. But for him to be, he was balling. I can understand if your eyes water up or you got a tear come down your cheek. But he was balling. Like he lost a dear friend or something.
He has a passion for the game, even in losses. But, by the way, I did say Ohio State didn't play. They did play because I thought they would have a tough time against Rutgers. In the beginning, they did, but then they showed why, because, by the way, Rutgers is not a bad team. Their quarterback is just awful. Got to be one of the worst in the country. But aside from him, that defense, what Greg Schiano has done and has always done, bringing those Florida boys up to Jersey, then using some of those Jersey guys because there's a lot of talent in Jersey as well, and he's making it work. It's just that, Ohio State is on the other level. Michigan is on the other level. He's now a mid-tier team in the Big Ten, which is a good thing for Rutgers football. And right now, they held on for a little while, but then, once again, Marvin Harrison shows up and puts a lid on it. And they lose. They scored 35 points against 35-16, I believe the score was. But Ohio State's legitimate. So, yeah, they should be number 1 when the voting comes tomorrow. Georgia still should be number 2. I think the weakest of all these teams just happens to be the team in the 5th spot, which is Washington. And it's all relative. because they're all undefeated. But I look at the teams from what I've seen, and I think that Ohio State is one of the better teams. I see that Michigan, I see Georgia, those are the better teams. And now with Alabama playing the way they are, man, I don't think any of those teams in front of them really want to deal with them.
Right. But let me digress
Mhm.
because I remembered something. Going back to CJ Stroud, he had to play with a backup running back kicking field goals.
I didn't
And
see
he
that
made
part.
one. You didn't see that? No, the
Nah,
kicker was hurt. He made like a 29 or 34 yarder or something. I don't know.
yeah,
So because they didn't have a kicker, they were going for it instead of kicking the extra points.
he was a toe
And
kicker,
that's why at the end they needed a touchdown. Otherwise they would have just needed a field goal.
man.
But that's added pressure. Like, yo, we can't just get to the 30 and say, oh, let's kick the field goal. You don't have nobody to kick the
You don't have
field goal.
anybody to
You
kick it,
gotta
man.
go down and punch it in.
You have a
Um,
toe kicker from high school. Just hit the square up like Tom Dempsey without the block. He just
so
kicking
yeah,
it.
another tip of the hat to CJ Stroud.
Oh, without a question, man. I got nothing to say about that guy. I have nothing bad to say about him. He's lived up to the expectation. And then D'Amico Ryans also, his team overall, his coaching job. I think everything seems to be working in sync. And I know that DeAndre Hopkins would be happy to be back in now in
Yeah, no kidding.
in Houston. So, but hey, they got what they have right now, and they're winning with this core. And this is the type of quarterback you can legitimately build around. This isn't someone you got to speculate now. Damn, should we bring in this player, that player? It might not fit. It might not fit. You know what works with this guy because it seems like he gives the ball to everyone. If you're open,
Right.
it's your job.
And they had three receivers over 100 yards yesterday, and I can't name any of them. So does does he need more weapons, or should you just get all the linemen you can to make sure you keep
You know
him
what?
upright?
Good job there because get the offensive lineman in, free agent wise, draft wise,
Keep him upright. Keep
keep
him
him upright.
healthy.
And they should know better because they saw what they did to David Carr years ago. They ruined his career not having an offensive line that could keep him upright. The guy was
Mhm.
destroyed. There was like a turnstile in front of him. He was getting battered and really ruined his career. I think David Carr had a lot of talent and had much more to offer than what he eventually offered. But anyways, man,
Yeah,
that
so
was something.
good luck, CJ Stroud, man.
CJ, good luck. This guy, man, he is luck. I mean, he's doing it on his own, and I just like to see the development of a quarterback and being here in Jacksonville, getting a chance to see him
So
twice
did
a
they
year.
develop him? He just showed up
He just
balling.
showed up. You know what? He developed at Ohio State. He went to Ohio State, developed, and just came to the
Right.
NFL, showed him how he did it.
Yo, that reminds me. I saw a headline of a report claiming that Michigan is saying that Ohio State is behind their sign stealing scandal.
I think I've heard something like that already, man. Now they're trying to blame other
Are
teams.
you kidding?
They
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it
we
too.
did it, but it wasn't us. It was Ohio State. What?
Come
Ohio
on,
State wants you to win games? Get out of here, man.
man, how
Ohio State
obvious
wants
is
you to be
that?
0-10. Shut up with that bullshit.
You're gonna blame your biggest rivalry, or your biggest rival, like they can say, "Oh, good point, man." Blame Northwestern. Say something like, Northwestern did it," and then people might believe you. If you just go straight for Ohio State, they know how the animosity is between you two teams. It wouldn't seem so
I
obvious
don't know.
that you
I
flip the
didn't
crap.
even click on it. I didn't want to read it. I'm just saying that the fact that that report came out, uh, it was supposedly from somebody at Michigan saying it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I
Maybe I
saw
should
it.
have read it and I would know what they actually said. But I thought it was too ridiculous. So I was like, screw that.
Well, that Chicago job is on the clock, and it looks like he might want to
Hey,
go
I,
in.
I, I saw in other NFL groups, other coaches, other fans of other teams want Harbaugh too.
Yeah, you know what? We saw what he did out there in San Francisco, and you see what he's doing him. Well, we see what he's doing in Michigan, and we're hearing about other things too. But I think back in the NFL, I think he relates to players. He's a little bit on that quirky side, but he relates to players apparently. And it looks like his body of work proves what he can do, even though it took a little bit of time in Michigan because they was ready to throw him out too when he wasn't winning against Ohio State. Now he's winning against Ohio State, and if he does it again this year, this will be the perfect time to get out of Dodge if he does it. But
But do his wins over Ohio State coincide with the sign stealing?
you know what?
Can,
Hey,
can you match them up the timeline? Can you match up the timelines?
well, if you want to
Um,
believe the stories, Could Ohio State been the one who started it, and that's the reason why they were beating him? Come
Yeah,
on
they
now, we got this
right.
morass now. We got to try to figure it
You're
out.
gonna help Harbaugh beat Ohio State. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
And finally, at least on the college football side, Miami owes us, man. The Miami Hurricanes, they owe us. Get out of here with that BS. We only asked for this win or for selfish reasons because we spent money. That's why. We're going out there to Tallahassee to watch Miami take on Florida State. Not only is it not a night game after the shellacking they took in rally against North Carolina State Wolfpack,
And the game
it's a
it
3:30
was
game.
there for the taking. They just let it slip away.
Even after all that poor playing, Tyler Van Dyke, man, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. Bro, I was never really on his bandwagon to begin with. I was hoping more than anything, even though he's not Crystal Bull's guy, I was hoping that things worked out for him and him coming back and not going to Alabama when it was a real thing with this NIL and all that. And now he's awful. I mean, in the last, 4 games, last 5 games, he's 5 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He threw 3 interceptions in his last game. 2 times this season, he's thrown 3 interceptions. He's had 5 multiple interception games this season.
That's
Not
pretty
exactly
bad.
an NFL draft pick, at least not a high one. He'll get drafted by someone in the 4th or 5th round. But man, I just needed you to be good for this one game. And then you're going to complain about Emory Williams getting in there as a true freshman, possibly taking your job. Let's see what happens in Doak Campbell as I cry and you smile on Saturday.
I really wanted it to be a night game. I'm disappointed it's not
Yeah,
going to be a night game. I'm still going to have a good time. It's still going to be an experience.
it is.
Scratch it off my football bucket list. But man, I just what could have been is right there. What could have been.
Right there.
Looking at the schedule, I'm thinking, what's the best game possible? Miami's supposed to be good. Maybe it'd be a night game. Miami starts out strong. Then they blow the game,
Georgia
give it
Tech.
away on the silver platter to Georgia Tech, get their ass handed to Notre Dame. Now the night game's in doubt. But if they win this game, man, it could be a night game. It could be a night game.
That's it.
Nope.
I think that's what would have happened. I think they got like a 6-day delay on the time slot. That's what I heard earlier last week. They got a 6-day delay on the time slot because I think it was contingent on if they won the game. Obviously, it'll be a primetime game. If they lost the game, well, 3:30 on ABC is here for you because I think it would have been on either the ACC network or ESPN. If they would have won it, it would have been that primetime game. But what woulda, coulda, shoulda isn't, and we'll just have to deal with what we see out there on Saturday.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I've been to a couple of Cane games. In fact, a lot of Canes games in the past. Typically down there in the Miami area when they don't show up any damn way to fair weather fans. But I've been to that Florida State game. In fact, the last time I've gone to Florida State to watch Miami play was years ago when Kyle Wright lost the game. I think on Memorial Day. Not Memorial Day, on Labor Day. Labor Day weekend. And that was whatever, another game to lose. But anyway, I'm thinking Miami, hopefully that element of that rivalry helps like it did with Air Force and Army this past weekend. Army should not have done anything with Air Force. They ended up beating them. Making them fumble like 6 times and beating them. So that rivalry does matter. But it mattered last year when they came to Miami and blew us out by nearly 40 points. Come on, man. Over 40 points. Get out of here with that. Anyways, and by the way, now that I saw the Big Ten schedule, next year, Ohio State, Oregon is the game I'm targeting for October 12th in Eugene, Oregon. So that's the game I'm targeting. So let's see how we can work that thing into the schedule and make it work out. I know it's going to be a bundle, but whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll find a way to slip and slide and sneak our way into the game.
Well, good luck working out the logistics. I won't be going.
I'll try to figure it out, man. Put up some retirement funds for that one. And also, I shouldn't have said finally, because we still have Coach Prime to talk about. I know he's not much of a story these days. He's losing all the time. He's 4-5 right now. And, well, no one talks about them outside of Colorado anymore, unless they're saying something poorly about Coach Prime and his team. Well, they lost again.
So probably, there's tape. There's film that people can watch. What did Oregon do that was successful against them? What did they do to shut them down? And now, then they lost another game. Now there's two 2 games of film, and now they're 4-5. Unfortunately for Coach Prime, um, I don't know if it's gonna even get better.
Because I thought the next win they had an opportunity would have been Arizona at Folsom Field in Colorado. But Arizona's been winning games lately. I think they beat Oregon State. So, I mean, I'm not going to do the triangle theory here, but Arizona is a capable team. And we've seen that Colorado, at least at this point, is incapable of running the ball, first of all, and stopping the run, second of all, and now winning since they've been losing a whole bunch of games in a row now. And after that, you could close the damn season because you have Utah and a couple other big teams. Forget about it. It's over.
Yeah, I think it'll be a major disappointment if they don't get uh, become bowl eligible the way they started out the season.
Yeah, it's going to suck, but you know what? There's going to be a contingent of people, in fact, a large contingent of people, happy to hear the news because they've been waiting to say "I told you so" since the beginning of the season. They had to wait till 4 games deep into the season to bring out their bag of tricks. They was getting pissed off from the first game, second game, and third game. Man, I could have rooted against them if it wasn't for those meddling Buffaloes, and they kept on winning. Now they get their opportunity, and they're taking full advantage of it. If you've been to enough groups, you saw the nonsense said, things that don't even make sense. But you know what? In this day and age, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be said. And that's it. And then the other finally, Clemson beats Notre Dame by Notre Dame. You've embarrassed me this year, Stan Hartman. You too. So Clemson wins and blah, blah, blah. Dabo Swinney now hyped up for that win, by the way, after going back and forth with his
I wonder
last
what the
week.
phone calls are like on his show today.
Oh, we're sorry, coach. Nah, not yet. You're still 5-4, coach. Come on. But anyway, I think Dabo Swinney's a good coach. He just needs to come over to what I guess is the dark side now. Start using that transfer portal. That's it. He's the only guy not using the transfer portal and wants to brag about it. Nick is using it. Kirby's using it to a degree. Almost everyone is using it. Over 2,000 plays have gone into it. 3,000, I believe. Someone's using it. You need to start.
Yeah, Nebraska better use it for a quarterback.
Oh man. Oh man, I was hoping they win that game against Michigan State because Michigan State is that bad, man. They have a lot of tumult on that team and not a lot of talent either.
So they they played poorly. The quarterback had a bunch of interceptions, but they were playing the refs in that game too, man. There's a face mask right in front of the referee on third down. Should have been the first down. No, instead they got to punt it. There was an obvious pass interference when they were down 20-13. They threw like a 40-yard bomb, and the safety just came and hit the receiver, and the ball landed. 2 referees right there, no flag. Yeah, and they're commenting like, "How is that not pass interference?" Dean Blandino even chimed in. That's obviously pass interference. No flag. And on Michigan State's touchdown, they showed a replay. His hands on the side of the ball, the tip of the ball, the nose of the ball hits the ground. He falls on it, rolls over, shows he has it. Blandino comes in and says, when the nose of the ball hits the ground and the ball's on the hands on the side, that's a trap. That's not a catch.
Yeah.
They come out, and I'm not describing it any other way than how it happened. Guy says, play stands as called, touchdown. And instead of it being incomplete, it would have been 2nd and 10 from like the 30, 35. Michigan State hadn't scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter all season. That was their first one. So they allowed that to stand. So Nebraska has the ball. They're trying to drive to come back late in the game to tie it up. Malachi Coleman catches the ball. They got the first line on the screen. He catches it a yard in front, gets tackled. They put it back behind the line so that the clock doesn't pause for them to move the sticks and everything. So the clock's ticking the whole time. They got to get up there and spike it. They lost like 14 seconds right there. And then on the second to last play of the game, Harburg's starting to throw the ball and it gets knocked out of his hand. Now, to me, it doesn't look like an incomplete pass because it was knocked out. But Blandino comes on and says, as soon as that arm starts going forward, that begins the pass process.
Mm-hmm.
Ball gets knocked out of his hands, that's an incomplete pass. They didn't call it an incomplete pass.
Fumble.
Huh? Yeah,
They
they
called it a
called it a
fumble.
fumble. But Blandino says the booth is supposed to stop the play and say, "Hey, let's take a look at this." They didn't even take a look at it.
Fix. Rigged. Come on.
Okay, now that's you
Unbelievable.
saying it. I didn't say it was fixed. I didn't say it was rigged. I just told you what happened. That's
Well, that's what
exactly what
happened, bro.
happened.
What's the
That's what I saw.
explanation? I mean,
That
it speaks for itself, man. What's going on? I mean, come on, man. I have to go look at the line of that game
it was
again, man.
brutal, man. I mean, I can understand they don't call holding or blocking the back. You know that happens all the time. But a face mask, the quarterback, there is one guy's job to watch the quarterback so he doesn't get roughed, right? And he
Yeah.
gets face masked and there's no penalty. How did you not see the face mask?
Well, another weekend of college football over with. Another weekend of bad refereeing over with. NFL, college, basketball, baseball was over last week, and we're going to with college basketball starting this week. I may end up heading out to one of these college basketball games too. JU, right up the block, Jacksonville University. So I will be catching one of their games, but it will be next week because this weekend is all Canes, all FSU Seminoles out in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get some Seminole gear for the game.
Uh, I was gonna wear some. I was gonna wear some Canes gear, but like, you know what? What for, man? I already did my running on Saturday. Why do I need to roughen them again? Anyway, man. Well, we can end the show right now because we will be back tomorrow as there are more things going on. Monday Night Football being played tonight, and we'll get a chance to talk about that. Now the NBA plays
Will
all
the
the time.
Jets be in first place?
Yeah, and we'll still have sound effects to prove it and how they did it. Beat, beat, and it won't be the
We'll
Roadrunner.
see. We'll
Anyway,
see.
I'm Trav. He's Biased Sports Bag Bros podcast is signing off. Deuces.
Peace.